So guys, after months of off-season moves, OTA reports, minicamp takeaways, and non-stop speculation, the wait is almost over. The Commanders rookies report to training camp this week, with veterans not far behind, meaning we're finally about to get our first real look at this 2026 football team. But before camp officially begins, there are still a few major questions surrounding this roster. And now, Bleacher Report outlined 3 massive decisions it believes the Commanders still need to make before training camp. Now, I don't think not every suggestion makes sense, so let's break down all 3 decisions, whether Washington should actually make them, and which one could have the biggest impact on the Commanders' Super Bowl hopes in 2026. What's up, Commanders Nation? Welcome to NFL Playbook Commanders. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So, let's start with the first item on that list, and it's the one that makes the most sense to me. Bleacher Report's Brent Sobleski says the Commanders need to add a veteran wide receiver before camp starts, and honestly, I completely agree with him on this one. Look at the wide receiver room as it stands right now. Terry McLaurin is the clear number 1, and when he's healthy and when Jayden Daniels is on the field with him, that combination is one of the best in the entire league. We saw exactly what that looked like 2 seasons ago when the two of them built one of the most productive quarterback and receiver connections in all of football. But after McLaurin, the questions pile up fast, and that's the part of this roster that concerns me the most heading into camp. Antonio Williams is set to be this team's wide receiver 2, and he's a completely unproven rookie who profiles more as a slot specialist than a true outside threat. Then you've got names like De'Ami Brown, Treylon Burks, and Luke McCaffrey, and the hope is that at least 1 or 2 of them can step up and become a legitimate second or third option. None of them have proven that they can do it yet at the NFL level, and that's not meant as a knock on any of these guys individually. It's simply a fact based on what they've shown so far in their careers. For an offense that is counting on a full and healthy season from Jayden Daniels, that's a real concern. I actually like Antonio Williams as a player, but I like him more as a true wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 2. If you're a number 2, there are certain expectations that come with that role. You need to produce right out of the gate, and defenses game plan for you accordingly. But as a number 3, you still get plenty of snaps as part of a starting rotation, and the pressure to be the guy simply isn't there in the same way. That's why bringing in a proven veteran makes so much sense right now. It takes pressure off Williams, it takes pressure off the young receivers still trying to find their footing, and it gives Daniels another trusted target while these guys continue to develop behind the scenes. There are a handful of veteran names still available who could fill that role. Tyreek Hill is out there, and if he's fully healthy, he would instantly become the best receiver on this roster, no question. But that's a big if, and health has not been on his side over the last couple of seasons. If Hill isn't a realistic option, I would call Stefon Diggs. He grew up in the DMV, and he has been dropping some pretty clear hints on social media that he wants to suit up for Washington. That kind of local connection, paired with his production history, makes him one of the more logical fits on the open market. Beyond those two, Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins are also sitting there as proven veterans who could step in and produce immediately, giving Daniels a reliable target who already knows how to win in this league. Deebo Samuel returning for another year in Washington isn't completely off the table either, especially given the familiarity he already has with this offense. There's even been chatter connecting the Commanders to Brandon Ayuk, though that one still feels like a long shot given how his situation in San Francisco has played out. There's actually some fresh chatter on this front too. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has said Keenan Allen's name has been floating around Washington a little bit recently, though he's also been clear that nothing appears to be close on that front. What's interesting is Fowler has also said the Commanders have specifically been looking for a burner, a true speed threat on the outside, and that description doesn't really fit Allen anymore. But Diggs isn't exactly a burner either at this stage of his career. He wins more with route running and toughness than with pure speed. So, if Washington is really holding out for that burner type, neither of these two names checks that specific box, which might explain why this decision has dragged on as long as it has. And there's another piece of this that's worth mentioning. Diggs dealt with a legal situation earlier this offseason that made teams a little more hesitant to jump in, but that has since been fully cleared up both legally and by the league, so that obstacle is gone now. If Washington is serious about upgrading this receiver room with a true speed element, Diggs checks more boxes than Allen does right now. And here's the thing Commanders fans need to understand. If Diggs signs somewhere else, the list of proven veteran options left on the market gets thin in a hurry. This decision might not stay open for very long. Whichever direction the front office goes, the point stands. This roster does not have enough proven production behind McLaurin, and going out and adding one more veteran before camp would strengthen this offense heading into a season where expectations are sky high. Now let's move to the second item on Bleacher Report's checklist. Sobleski suggests the Commanders still need to pick a defensive play caller before training camp. Guys, that decision has already been made, and it was made the moment Daronte Jones was hired as defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn made it clear from day one that this is Jones' defense, and Jones will be the one calling the plays on Sundays. There is nothing left to figure out here, and honestly, this has been public knowledge since the hire happened. What makes this hire so intriguing is the scheme Jones is bringing with him. He's installing a version of the defense built by Brian Flores, the same style that has become known around the league for disguised looks and aggressive pressure packages, including the hot quarters coverage concepts that Flores modernized during his time in Minnesota. Quinn himself has never run a scheme like this throughout his coaching career, which is exactly why it makes sense to hand the reins over to Jones. He knows this system inside and out, and Washington brought him in specifically to build and run it from the ground up. Quinn stepping back and trusting Jones with full control over the defensive play calling tells you everything you need to know about how much confidence this organization has in him. So, when I see an outlet suggesting this is still an open question heading into camp, it tells me they haven't been paying close attention to what's actually happened in Washington this offseason. This defense already has its play caller, and Commanders fans should be excited to see what Jones can do with it once the pads finally come on next week. Now for the third and final item, and this is the one that really stood out to me. Bleacher Report is floating the idea that the Commanders should trade Daron Payne before training camp begins. The reasoning is that Washington has flipped defensive linemen before as they approach contract extensions, and Payne is entering the final year of his current deal without an extension currently in place. On paper, that logic sounds simple enough. In reality, I don't think this move happens, and honestly, I don't think it should happen either, not with where this roster is right now. This is a win-now season for Washington. Even though Payne is heading into a contract year, he remains one of the most important run defenders on this entire roster. Look at the rest of this interior defensive line. Javon Kinlaw and Jerzon Newton have both struggled against the run throughout their careers so far. They're twitchy, athletic players who can win in passing situations and get after the quarterback, and both bring real value in those moments. But neither of them has proven to be reliable when it comes to stopping a run consistently on early downs. Washington did add some depth this offseason by bringing in Tim Settle, who is a strong run defender and can also handle snaps at nose tackle if Payne ever needs a breather or goes down with an injury. But even with that addition, Payne remains the anchor of this front, and losing him now would leave a hole that Settle alone can't fully replace. So here's why that matters so much heading into the season. You can't get into those favorable third and long situations where Kinlaw and Newton thrive as pass rushers unless you can actually stop the run first on early downs. Without Payne holding that interior line together, this defense does not have enough proven run stoppers to keep opposing offenses out of manageable third down situations. Trading him now would rip out the foundation this defense needs at the exact moment the front office is clearly trying to build a roster capable of competing for a Super Bowl. The way I see this playing out is pretty straightforward. Washington is going to ride with this roster and see what they truly have through the first half of the season. If the Commanders are in the thick of the playoff race, fighting for the division or a wildcard spot, there is no chance they move Payne mid-season. At that point, the more likely path is letting him walk in free agency next offseason and collecting a compensatory pick in return for his departure. But if things go the other way, if Jayden Daniels goes down again or this team falls out of contention early, then shopping Payne for draft capital starts to make a lot more sense as a business decision. Until then, expect him to be suiting up in burgundy and gold when the season kicks off in September. So, there you have it. 3 decisions Bleacher Report says the Commanders need to make before training camp, and only 2 of them actually hold up. Adding a veteran receiver behind Terry McLaurin makes complete sense heading into a pivotal season for Jayden Daniels. The play caller question is already settled with Daronte Jones firmly in control, and trading Daron Payne would be a mistake for a team built to compete right now. The receiver decision is the one that could have the biggest impact on this season. Let me know down in the comments which of these 3 matters most to you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our training camp coverage. Until next time, Commanders Nation.